Welcome to the roads we've traveled. How's everybody doing today? Episode 5 right here, and I've got one of my best friends here and fellow co-host of the League of Extraordinary Frontmen, which was my first podcast I've ever done, Mr. Scotty Anarchy, a.k.a. Scott Wawrzyniak from Crossing Rubicon. How you doing, man?
AJ, it's great to be here. I'm so excited to be part of this conversation. Oh, man. I still got my nighttime pajamas on.
Could have waited. I mean, like, you know, if you wanted to get cleaned up or something, but I mean, you know.
I took a shower like at 11 o'clock last night.
Okay.
And it was only because it was like, oh, fuck, I should really shower because it's been like 48 hours now. And I'm like OCD when it comes to neatness and like me being clean. I'm the guy that takes 3 showers a day usually, but fuck everything now.
I hear you. When I get home from work after 1, it's usually shower, a couple beers, and then bed by 3:30 in the morning. So, oh, Baby Yoda.
Yeah, no, I'm like, Baby Yoda.
It's gonna be one of those podcasts already.
Dude. You know what's so crazy? And I was so like, maybe it was like nostalgia or whatever. I found the video where I was talking about you making a turkey sandwich in your kitchen one day.
Oh, I know that came up in my memories, and I posted it today. Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was like one of those things where it was like, and we had the big like, much respect for keeping the crust on. Our craziness.
For our listeners, he's talking about a bit that happened years ago when we still made our old podcast, The League of Extraordinary Frontmen, which you can find on the Metal Syndicate website at Metal Syndicate, or is it, metalsyndicate-ct.com or something like that. I'll get the website and I'll post it below. But you can get caught up on all those old episodes that way. But basically, I was the podcast was going later than it should have been. I had to work in the morning. These guys were still in my apartment, and I had to make my lunch. So Scott decided to break out his cell phone and start recording me making my lunch and do a play-by-play the entire time. And it wasn't turkey; it was buffalo chicken.
Oh yeah, we had that part of the conversation too.
So anyway, how's life been during quarantine?
I feel like life outside of quarantine, I always miss like always miss every step as I fall down the stairs. In quarantine, I've been pretty blessed, pretty lucky. I will say that I had, I had 2 days notice that I wasn't going to be working, which sucks. But fortunately I had a feeling like we were going to be closing, with the way everyone was talking and everything with this virus. So I worked a lot of extra hours and I put some money aside, and then I eventually got unemployment. And when that happened, which I've never been a person to ever collect anything, but I'm like, you know what? The way I look at it is my tax dollars have been putting every single cop's kid through college. At least I could benefit from it myself when I need it the most. You know?
I mean, that's why it's there, and it's for people that need it. You know what I mean? Not to get all fully political and whatever, but I mean, like, that's why unemployment's there. It's for people like us that fall on hard times and need the money to get by until we find something else. And there are programs too through unemployment that you can utilize. I'm not sure right now with everything going on, but I mean, like, there's programs where they do resume structure or whatever. They teach you how to write a good resume. They teach you how to do interviews properly. They'll even send you back to school if you want to, so I've been unemployed a few times. I've been laid off quite a few times, and I took advantage of all those programs.
I mean, not to get political, but capitalism is saying, hey, fuck the lives of your parents and grandparents. Go back to work and start our economy back up again. And socialism is like, don't worry, we have plenty of money in the back to take care of you guys until this gets fixed.
I saw your post today. Was that real? Like
That was real.
Oh wow! Like
There was thousands of people there. At least it looked like hundreds and hundreds of people.
That's insane. I mean, like, I want things to go back to normal just as much as everybody else. But I mean, like, for a bunch of people dressed up like that, holding their, guns out and stuff, like threatening to, like,
we had lawmakers that were hiding in their offices.
Wow.
I mean, look, I'm all about protesting. I was all in favor of taking a knee. I was all in favor of, Black Lives Matter. As long as you're not endangering the life of somebody else, I don't have a problem with that. But these protests are, I mean, if you look at catching the virus, where the woman who held the anti-quarantine protest in North Carolina got tested positive with the coronavirus, and she said that the 2-week quarantine was against her constitutional rights after she tested positive. I mean, there's extremes to both sides. I mean, absolutely. There's people there's extremes everywhere, and showing up with a bunch of M16s and AR-15s at a Capitol is not cool. That's terrorism.
A lot of it is ego too. I feel like, you know what I mean. Like a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm not gonna do what people tell me to do." It's like, no, like you're just fucking stop thinking about yourselves for once and start thinking about other people. You know what I mean? That's the whole reason why this isn't getting any better anytime soon, is because people just don't listen and they do what they want to fucking do. And as a result, more people are getting sick, and this fucking pandemic is lasting longer than it should be. This should have been over. I mean, by now, you know what I mean? Like, we should have been able to, like, at least go back to some sort of normal. But I mean, it's just, now they're saying May 20th, and now it's looking like it's going to be all summer or something. I don't know. Like, I look at different statistics every day, and I'm just like, what the fuck, man? Like, I miss my friends. I miss my family,
What kills me is a lot of these guys that are protesting yesterday in Michigan are the same people that like stockpile weapons and canned goods, hoping that the apocalypse can come and they can empty their bullets into something without consciousness. It's like, you've been preparing for this your entire life, and 3 days and 3 weeks in your house is too much for you.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's nothing wrong with, there's a difference between stockpiling and like, being prepared or what. I mean, like, hoarding and being prepared, I guess, like that. I kind of wish I had something set aside, because I didn't realize how bad this was going to be. And just the internet, just like with the whole toilet paper thing, I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, it's so hard to get anything now. It's just, people are just going crazy, hoarding everything. It's like, relax. Like, it's been months now. I just started seeing paper towels being able to be restocked. I still haven't seen toilet paper anywhere. It's just fucking crazy.
I've never had a problem with toilet paper.
Oh, I have. I can't find it anywhere I fucking go. Like, I've had to contact my sister because she gets her hands on it early. So, but I mean, it's yeah. But it's just like shit like that. It's just, enough's enough. I'm just so over it. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just, a passive person or whatever. It takes a lot for me to get angry and stuff like that. But I mean, like, that's why, like, I respect you so much, because you get so passionate about stuff like this. And like, I look up to you a lot when it comes to stuff like this. So, and I value your opinion. So, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. We still like butt heads about different things. You know what I mean? Like, I may not agree with you on certain things or anything, because I have my own views. But I mean, like, as a person, I respect you a lot. Because
thanks, man.
Yeah, But I mean, go ahead.
I'm okay with people having different views or different beliefs. I don't think a single member of my family comes even close to my beliefs or my views on stuff, and I still love every one of them. I think that there's no fine line when it comes to like threatening people with automatic weapons. Like to get your way because you think that it's your constitutional right. Everyone's saying like we have the right to have guns, but what is the reason for having your gun there? What's the reason?
There's no reason.
It's to intimidate. It's to scare. It's to terrorize. That's the American branch of ISIS, if you ask me. You
I
know?
mean, like if I've thought about getting my permit for a long time. I still think about it. I mean, and if I was to have it, it would just be for protective measures. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be to threaten or anything like that. I mean, like for instance, I'm partially disabled. I've had spinal surgery. I can't defend myself. You know what I mean? And you of all people, I mean, for our listeners out there, Scott was there for me one time a few years back. I was assaulted in a parking lot, and him and his wife Jeanne stayed by me the whole night, going to the police station to file reports and making sure I was okay and everything. It's just shit like that. It's just like reasons why I think about defending myself that way. I wouldn't get a pistol or a rifle or firearm or anything for any other kind of reason. You know what I mean? It would just be for protection.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you can have a firearm, or you can have a lightsaber.
Oh, we're gonna get into some of that in a little bit, but I mean, like we're getting a little off topic here a little bit. We're talking about quarantine. We're talking a little bit of politics and stuff, and just I love picking your brain about stuff like that because I really
Dial it back.
I really value your opinion on certain things. So, but let's talk about.
You're the only one.
Well, let's talk about how we met. We met a long time ago, back when I was still with my old band in the Red, and I think we both agreed it was at the Buck Cherry show. Was that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't remember the conversation. I don't know how it started or whatever. I just remember you being very friendly and outgoing and just super supportive, and I just immediately was like, I like this guy a lot. He's really cool, so I think I could be friends with this guy. I don't know. Maybe I'm remembering it differently, but what about you?
It was either at the Buck Cherry show, or it was before the Buck Cherry show. I remember, when did I book in the Red at Bleachers?
Oh God, dude, I don't know. This is so long.
Because I remember booking you. It's, you know what? When you and I became friends, it was at a point in my life where I just gone through a divorce. I pretty much lost every single friend that I had, and the people that I've known for up to 20 years that I would never talk to again. And I was kind of like, I'm a friendly, personable guy, but I had a job forever. I really didn't have the luxury of having real friends. I thought you were an amazing vocalist. As a matter of fact, I remember I would always say that I want you to sing at my funeral one day.
I hate it. I hate it when you say that too, because it just makes me think about your mortality and like what could happen to all of us. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know if I'd be able to sing at your funeral because like I'd be too choked up to sing. You know what I mean? I appreciate it though,
but still. So it was around that time. Either we met at Buck Cherry, or were you booked at Bleachers before I started working there? And then I met you there, and then I met you again at Buck Cherry. One of those two.
I want to say
Buck Cherry was February 20th, 2014.
Everyone's memory is so much better than mine because like I just interviewed John Michael on the last episode, and he remembered exactly when we first met. It was the Non-Point show with Gemini Syndrome, and I'm like, was it that show? I don't remember. Like, I'm like, I don't know what's going on with my memory lately, but you remember exact dates, dude. That's
impressive. Was the date. The only reason I remember that day was the date that was the most craziest show date ever. I'm not going to go into details because some people did not handle themselves in a professional manner going in as far as ticket sales, some bands. So other bands were pissed off at one band, and I did something to kind of take out my frustration on them, which was still it was still hilarious. My band, because of my divorce and the stuff I was going through, I had the throat cancer at the time. My band had not sold a lot of tickets for that show. Like usually we're 120 to 150 tickets per show. I think we sold like 60, which is horrible for us.
So for listeners,
I'm
sorry, just real quick for listeners and viewers, when we talk about ticket sales, every band had to sell a certain amount of tickets, which secured a certain spot that you would play for the show. So a lot of, I think I know which band you're talking about. They got to go on the main stage and play before Buck Cherry did, while the rest of us had to play the second stage that unfortunately not a lot of concert goers really give enough credit to or like to check out. It's
Hey,
usually, you know.
it turned out to be a great show, though.
Oh yeah.
But we actually did a thing where I gave all of my band's ticket sales to the other band that I thought was going to come in second place to the band that went on the main stage. When it came time, I'm like, oh, well, we didn't sell anything. Here's our 5 tickets. And I gave them the rest of our tickets to try to get them. And it didn't work. You know, I was like, we tried. But I kind of got them back in one way, which was, I can't mention it on the podcast because we're talking about incriminating information. Woof. But but that was the day. That was a very magical day. My now wife asked me out that night after the show, which was pretty cool.
I was gonna ask you about that in a little bit, but you know, talking about like, you know, stuff that was going on with you before all that happened. You said you were going through a divorce. You were, you know, battling throat cancer. Like, you know, what was going through your head through all that? You know, like I can't imagine it was, you know, it's obviously it was difficult. You know what I mean? And you said you lost friends during all of it. I mean, like what was going through your mind through all of it?
In one weekend, my best friend, Jeff Miles, had to tell me he was leaving Crossing Rubicon. And that was a Thursday. On Sunday, my wife of 12 years told me she applied for divorce and she moved out of the house and she took my cat with her. And then on Monday, I was told by my first doctor that I was diagnosed with throat cancer. So it was like the worst weekend ever. And I my friend losing was like my career for years, 17 years going into that. I had friends my friends that I worked with. And when I left my job, I mean, they were pretty much told, don't associate with me anymore. I left on good terms, but they didn't want their coworkers to get the idea to go off to bigger and better things after their career or whatever, for whatever reason. And so I didn't really have anybody to talk to. So I did what every self-respecting, single person would do. I drank everything. I hooked up with everything and just threw my life down into a downward spiral. I was having fun, but it was definitely a very shallow existence. I was very, like, I kind of would, you know, like I really got to the point I was waking up in the morning hating myself. And I was ironically, not really ironically, that week, why I remember it so well, Friday before that week, that Buck Cherry show was on a Wednesday. Friday before that week, I had a radio station from the Carolinas. It was like an internet radio station. And they had a listener that really, really loved Crossing Rubicon. And he was a 14-year-old kid who had been diagnosed with leukemia. And they asked me to do a video spot for him, you know, kind of wishing him luck and whatever. And I said after I did the spot.
So you're pre-Cameo, right? You basically started Cameo before Cameo was a thing.
No. It was just Joey Scheidler. It was just he sent a video and audio clip. I sent the video and the audio clip, and this is where it gets dicey. I recorded it on a Friday. They played it to him on a Monday. They sent me the video, and I told the disc jockey I would love to, you know, talk to the kid on the phone or something. And oh yeah, we can set something up for you. When do you want to do it? I'm like, oh, eventually. And I went out that night partying, and I go to work the next day, and Joey was dead. And it was I had this moment, and I kind of told my band, we were kind of in a weird place. Jeff just leaving, my divorce, my drinking, my partying. I was like, guys, we had a kid that died, and one of the last things that he appreciated was listening to our music. And then I took a second to talk to him. And I will regret for the rest of my life not calling that kid ASAP. Do me a favor. Let's just take tomorrow seriously. Let's fuck where we're playing. If it's main stage, if it's underground, which usually we always put our hearts and soul in, whatever. I'm like, can you give me your A1 performance? Let's do this for Joey. And they all did. And it was kind of, I felt so shallow and so just aloof from everything for 2 months. Because it was like from January to actually about a month and a half. It was something snapped at me, and it kind of brought me back to life a little bit. A reality check, you know. I'm, you know, out there getting wasted all the time, fucking everything with still high standards. And all of a sudden this kid died, and I'm like, I have cancer, and I'm putting all this together. Like let's get this. You know, we just started recording our record, and I was having trouble singing, so I was trying to get that fixed. And at that time, I talked to my doctor, and I'm like, when I get the surgery done, because they were operating in my throat, will I come out singing the same? And he's like, there's really no guarantee. He's like, we don't know how it's going to come out. Like you could be singing better than ever, and it could be a disaster. So I told the studio engineer, I'm like, look, I got two choices. I mean, I could record now, or I could record after, and I got to get this done because this could kill me. And this album was kind of all I left my career for that record, you know? But turns out I had the surgery. I was cancer free, and they got everything cleared out, and it was all looking positive. But everything happened around February 20th of 2014. And my friendship with you kind of started right in the middle of all that. And I kind of always related to you in that scenario because you were kind of there for me at the time. And that was kind of like that. We started our friendship then and there. And it was kind of like a rebirth thing for me. You know, like it was in life in general. Like I guess every once in a while you just got to douche everything out and start over again. And I was kind of in that position. So it was definitely beginning of a more passionate side of life. It was kind of like everything that I haven't felt, not just in those 2 months, but like from years before, you know, having a career where I was making a lot of money, but just not feeling like I was myself. And now I'm kind of made me myself again. So that date's the date that'll live in infamy.
Well, and you mentioned that you met Jeanne and she asked you out that night too, and then you're talking about like how much a lot of good started happening after that. I mean, like, you know, we started our friendship. Jeanne asked you out. You know, we got our friends in general. We all got really close, and then we started a podcast together. And you said that's how your life turned around. And like, you know, I always think like things happen in threes. You know what I mean? You were talking about Jeff leaving, your divorce, and then cancer, and then like all this good started happening after that. I mean, it's definitely like, you know, you got to look at certain things and just like be grateful. You know, certain things happen certain ways. I mean, like it may not have been like ideal or whatever, the way things worked out or whatever, but then look at all this good stuff that's happening in your life that people may take for granted or may not even notice. You know what I mean? And you know, I'm really lucky that I got to help in some way and, you know, be there for you. I didn't really know a lot of this. I know we've talked about certain things here or there that have happened to you in the past and stuff. I knew about the cancer and stuff, but I didn't realize that around the same time, or maybe I just don't remember as well. But I mean, like, I didn't realize that, you know, me being a part of it was helping in any way. And I'm really glad, you know what I mean? Because like I said, I value our friendship a lot and I look up to you a lot. And I'm very grateful that I call you one of my best friends because I can call you and text you or depend on you whenever I need it. And same goes for you. You know, you've had me watch your cats several times for you in the past. So
we were going to be going on tour again soon too. And then this happened. So
yeah, I was gonna. I remember you guys were talking about doing what was it, the 10-year reunion or something?
Yeah, we're in our 10 year thing. Our 10 years, October. I think I had the date. It was either October 10th or October 8th will be the 10-year anniversary from the very first Rubicon show. And I kind of wanted to, you know, I felt like we had some bad luck after the release of our second record, and I feel like I kind of needed to jumpstart Rubicon again a little bit. It's just one of those things where you get to the point where you put everything into something and it just doesn't work out the way you planned, and you had backup plans to your backup plans, and everything was going to work out, and then just shit all falls apart in one shot, which is kind of what happened to Rubicon right after the release of our record, but around the release of our record. And we kind of are like, well, I'm going to take some time off and set it up so that there is no plan B needed. And then coronavirus happened, you know, but I'm still going to do if I have to do the 11th anniversary of Rubicon and make that the 10th anniversary celebration, fuck it.
Fuck it.
whatever I got to do.
Yeah, I hear you. So you originally grew up in New York. You grew up in Buffalo, correct?
I didn't grow up in Buffalo. I moved to Connecticut when I was like 7.
Yeah.
But
You're originally from Buffalo, though.
yeah, when I moved here, I had enough Buffalo in me that I kind of couldn't stand Connecticut, and the pizza sucked here. Now, mind you, when I say the pizza sucked here, I did not meet New Haven pizza yet.
Thank you.
Yes. I will say New Haven pizza is tied for my top 2 favorite pizzas. I'll say Buffalo pizza and New Haven pizza are both kind of on the same level, and Buffalo pizza is drastically different from New Haven pizza. They call it like Great Lake style pizza, and it's funny because we were on tour with a band called Caustic Method, and the singer of Caustic Method was also from Buffalo. Right?
Yeah, it was kind of cutting out a little bit.
Oh, the singer from Caustic Method was also from Buffalo. And every single show we played, in a rider, there was they had a food license for us. Mm-hmm. And what? They had a food license for us. So yeah. Basically every venue was getting us pizza because it's the cheapest way to feed 10 musicians. And every venue, we were so sick of pizza. I have a gluten intolerance. I can tell you how much fun that was.
Oh, yeah.
But we get to Buffalo and Evening Star nightclub. And it was the first venue where the guy gave us a choice. I can get you guys 6-foot subs, or I can get you guys pizza. And myself and Matt Costic jumped up and were pizza! And the rest of our band hated our guts. But I'm like, this is Buffalo pizza. I haven't had this in years. And they all agreed. It was great fucking pizza. But I think they would have gone with the turkey grinder over that night. But hey.
Got to do what you got to do.
So I'm a Connecticut person. I'm from Buffalo. I still miss Buffalo, and I got to get back there again. But yeah.
So you are one of 3. You've got 2 brothers, Paul and Mike, and your parents, Tom and Virginia, are also really awesome people. What was it like growing up with everybody? I mean, I know I know most of the stories you've told me already, but for like audio listeners, like, what was it like growing up?
Well, my brothers and I were the weird kids from Buffalo. We were, I don't know, it was weird. Myself, I think I probably had it the hardest because I was the guy that was like, I think I was in like second, second grade when we moved out here, and my brothers weren't in school yet. So I was the guy that showed up halfway through the school year and like, who's this guy? I was the weird kid from Buffalo, and my brothers were also the weird kids from Buffalo. So my brothers and I were very close because everybody thought we were just weird. Like, I swear nobody in Connecticut saw Star Wars. Nobody. Weird. But, there was like, it's like, but from being from Buffalo, it was kind of like that. We still call it pop instead of soda to this day. And some people would make fun of when our accent would stick out. We get made fun of for it a little bit.
Yeah.
Once in a while it comes out, but I very seldomly now.
Did you get bullied a lot as a kid?
I was in high school more than grammar school. Like, I was just the weird kid in grammar school. High school, I got tormented a lot. Yeah. My mom bought me a leather jacket one time, and I wanted to play football, and I hurt my back, and I couldn't play football. Like, I started playing football my first week, and I had a lower back strain, and they told me I pretty much had to miss the first season. So, having zero experience playing football except for throwing the ball around my dad, I had to miss the first year of football, so there was no going back to playing football again for me. So I did theater, and I did drama club and glee club, which were definitely the most popular things to do in high school. And I got teased a lot for that, and I think I kind of had that flamboyancy. I actually, first time I ever had to tie in, my band wears eyeliner on stage, and like, we had been suggested by somebody who took interest in our band that we should wear eyeliner. And my years of theater, I was never nervous to do a performance ever. Like, I never walked on stage. I would say my first Rubicon show, because I didn't know if people were going to like the music or not or whatever, for that reason. But other than that, I've never been nervous about performing. And the first time I put makeup on in a theater performance, I felt like I was fucking invincible, because no matter what I do, you don't see my face, John Cena, and you don't see my face. It's kind of like it was kind of like a defense mechanism. It became almost like a shield, and it made me really be able to step out of my own character. But I think because of that, it kind of gave me more confidence, and the more confidence I got, the more, hey, look at the little drama geek kid over here. And I remember my mom bought me a leather jacket one time, and it was like brown and black leather jacket. And she just bought it to me because I wanted the jacket, and she thought I was such a good kid. And a kid took a black marker and wrote faggot on the back of the jacket in my locker, and like stuff like that. So I kind of had that in high school. Years later, like I think high school, I had friends in high school, but you know, it was years after. I think when I first started college, I went from being like the kid that was timid and shy and scared, even though on stage I was fine. And then when I went to college, I kind of came into my own then. And then I dropped out of college and started working. But so I was bullied. I was tormented a lot.
Well, the thing I love most about you is that you don't take shit from anybody either. You know, you stand up to bullies and stuff, and you got more courage than I did back in high school, because I took it a lot when I was bullied back in high school. I mean, like, I would get into fights and try to defend myself, but I was usually outnumbered and got picked on a lot. I didn't talk about this on one of my other episodes, but we were talking about getting bullied and stuff like that on a previous episode. I got bullied so much back in high school that my shop teacher knew what was going on too, and he just let it happen. He didn't care. To the point where
that guy.
Oh, this is what I did. Hang on. He let my bullies like skip school. Like, he knew they were skipping school. He let them do like chewing tobacco on school property, smoke cigarettes, whatever the fuck they wanted. They would even leave at lunch to go get Frankie's and then come back and stuff. My high school had this advanced machine shop up at the community college, Naugatuck Valley. And it was for the advanced students or whatever. But basically all my friends from shop were up there while I was stuck at school. And I walked into my shop teacher's office. It was like, hey, like, I want to go up to the site. He was like, oh, it's for advanced students only. You're not that good enough to go up there, blah, blah. I'm like, well, the way I see it is that you got a choice here. Either you let me go up there and I forget about everything that is going on down here, or I could just walk into the principal's office and tell him that everything that's going on here that you're letting these kids do to me and what you're allowing them to do on and off school property. And he was like, are you blackmailing me? I'm like, hell yeah, I'm blackmailing you. The fucking shop teacher came up from the site later that day. He was like, Pelletier. I was like, yeah, what's up? He was like, I hear you want to come up to the site. I'm like, yep, I do. He says, have your parents sign this. We'll see you tomorrow.
See, that's sticking up.
I had him by the balls, man. I felt so fucking good about myself after that. The rest of my school year was a breeze.
That's great.
Oh, it was so awesome. But anyway, yeah, no, I had a hard time sticking it to the people that tormented me. And like years ago, actually, I ran into my bully at a bar. It was weird. I was hanging out with a friend, and he got laid off or something like that. My bully, he came up to me at the bar and was just like, hey, what's going on, man? And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, like, I'm ready to throw down or something. I haven't seen this guy in years. And he says, I just want to apologize for being a dick to you for that long time. I'm sorry. Like, I feel really bad about stuff. I just got let go from my job, and, my girl's pregnant, this, that, and the other. And, I'm just kind of.
Did you laugh?
I wanted to, but like, I'm not that kind of person. So I was just like, oh, that sucks, man. I'm sorry to hear that. And he was like, hey, you know what? I know it's not much, but let me buy you a beer or something. I just wanted to come over and apologize for those years I tormented you. And I was like, thanks.
That's cool.
It was cool. It was awkward as fuck, but I mean, it was very cool. So
I would have let him buy me the beer, and I would have toasted, be like, here's to me having a job and not a baby. Sorry. Oh, I'm just joking. If you're watching, Mr. Bully Guy, I'm sorry. I was only kidding.
Nah, yeah.
Hope things are well.
It's just, stuff like that. It's just like, it's crazy sometimes to me, like, to think about. It's like, it's not always bad. And like, you got to go through a lot of shit in order to appreciate the good in your life, you know. And unfortunately, I only remember a lot of the bad stuff, and I try to remember a lot of the good stuff, and more now than ever, because like I need to remember a lot of the good in my life and appreciate the good, like, you know, having a best friend like you in my life and your wife. That's awesome. You know, I love your friendship, and you know, the amount of people I surround myself with. So for people listening that are going through some stuff right now, like just hang on, it's going to get better, you know. So that was growing up. When did you fall in love with Star Wars?
I don't remember a time I wasn't in love with Star Wars. I remember one being like 2 or 3 and watching A New Hope on CBS with my dad, and they had it every like one Friday a month. They played it on TV, and I would watch it, and you know, my relatives would buy me the Star Wars action figures as a kid, and of course Empire was out by then, but I didn't see Empire yet because, believe it or not, this is before most people had HBO, and it was like if you got the Friday night film. I'm so dating myself now, and there's like so I kind of grew up like it was like, you know, being Irish and Polish growing up in Western New York, there was Catholicism and then there was Star Wars. It was like those are the first 2 things that had ingrained in my head. And then seeing Empire, I remember I saw Empire first week of July 1985, and the reason why I remember that was we just got HBO, and I just had the chicken pox. And I saw my father rented Return of the Jedi, which was my favorite at the time, only because that was the very first, not only Star Wars movie I saw in the theaters, that was the first movie I saw in the theaters. So I had a very special connection to Return of the Jedi. And then I saw Empire back 2 years later on HBO. And so it was always a part of my life. There was never I can't remember being introduced to Star Wars. It just was always like that. It was like your father had like the really cool Mustang from the 1960s in the driveway, and you get out and you think, wait a minute, doesn't everybody have a really cool 1960s Mustang? Nope, just my dad. And it's like one of those things where Star Wars was like that. Wait, doesn't everybody watch Star Wars? I guess that was just, you know, me and other people that I grew up with, but you know, yeah. So I've always been obsessed with Star Wars.
I just want to let my listeners know that Scott has a massive toy collection. Like I mean, like for our video watchers, like this is just part of my collection, but it's nowhere near what Scott and Jeanne have. Their entire dining room is covered in shelves that you just recently redid and cleaned off or whatever. But I mean, like,
I'm still working on it.
you're still working on it, but I mean, like, when I walked in the first time, I was just completely blown away. Like, you've got Masters of the Universe, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Ghostbusters, Marvel Legends figures, DC figures, Star Wars, like Transformers, like fucking everything. Just
G.I. Joe.
GI Joe, top to bottom. Like,
Aliens vs. Predator.
oh my god,
Rambo, Rocky, Thundercats. Dick Tracy. You got
keep going. No,
now I'm just bragging. No, I'm very. I just, you know, I like my toys.
let's not forget wrestling. Let's not forget wrestling. You got a ton of wrestling figures too.
I just got back into that. I mean, I didn't do anything with wrestling for 15 years because I used to be a professional wrestler.
I forgot.
So
yeah, you were
wrestling for a long time. Yeah. So everything wrestling I have is mostly recent.
So
mostly. I have a couple things from my youth.
But I mean, like from top to bottom.
Losing the feed.
Oh, you there? Can you?
Yes.
Okay. So so from like top to bottom, like this entire room is just shelf to shelf action figures, Batmobiles, like cars, ships, whatever. I'm like, when I walked in there for the first time, I was like, holy shit. Like, this
nothing
is
compared to what it looks like now.
Oh,
nothing. Yeah. I spent 6.5 hours doing Star Wars figures alone, about 5 hours doing G.I. Joe. I'm still on DC. DC's been a fucking nightmare. I was dreading DC, and it's turning out to be as bad as I thought. I probably have close to 350 DC figures.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's bad. I'm trying to keep some semblance of order, and you know, I put things out to kind of like put them. Like I had like a Batman from one thing and a Robin, Tim Drake. I had a Jason Todd, Red Hood, Nightwing, and Damian Wayne. I put them all together and they look awesome. But like, it's a lot of work. G.I. Joe was the hardest because G.I. Joe figures come with like 15 different weapons, and all my weapons were in a bucket. And I had to go back and find video or internet photos of the figure and match all the weapons up. So every figure was like, and I'm probably about 100 G.I. Joe figures. Every figure was like probably about 5 minutes of research. So it's been a lot of work. I mean, it's coming. I'm actually getting to the point where I'm getting through DC and I'm looking at shelves that I worked on that now need to be taken apart and redusted. So it's kind of in the never-ending cycle, you know. We forgot Star Trek. I have Star Trek too.
Yes. Well,
And then as I'm doing this too, I'm finding like holes in my collection, so I'm going out and ordering stuff to fill in my collection. You know.
Well,
obsession.
I mean, at least it's keeping you busy during all of this. You know what I mean? Like, so,
oh yeah,
there's something. But you mentioned wrestling. I know we've talked about it before, but like you were into wrestling before you got into music. Like, how did that start?
Well, I was into music before wrestling.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But I kind of was like, I was a big fan of wrestling. I kind of always wanted to do it. I went to school for it. I did well in my independent career when I had it. And I will say for reasons that I probably won't bring up, I ended up getting out of wrestling. It was an ethical reason. I had some great opportunities in front of me. And I still wonder to this day if those opportunities, how they would have panned out. I had offers on the table for like decent career stuff. And I mean, small stuff from what you would think on not WWE stuff, you know, but definitely like I was going through the steps pretty well. But I pretty much was told one time to take a hit out on somebody and I hurt somebody in the ring. And I did it because I had people that were watching me that were interested and seeing what I could do, and some of them were telling me this person pissed them off, and I did it. And my father told me very, very interesting advice back in when I did it back in, this is 2000, so you were like 6, AJ. It was he said, he goes, the music industry is so much better to be into than the wrestling industry. The wrestling industry is not a good business to be in, and it's ironic because I kind of got a little bit of a melee into wrestling again over the last year, and the wrestling industry has changed so drastically, and the music industry has changed so drastically that wrestling is a hell of a lot better of a business to be in than music right now. You know, so it's kind of like, oh, I can't go back. You know, I'm 27 years old now. You know.
Yeah.
But I went back a little bit. I had a match. I had a good time doing it. I don't know where I'm at now, but you know, it was fun.
Yeah, I saw the video too. It was you and our friend Ryan Bear, a.k.a. Ryan Frost.
Fuck Frost.
But he was a part of your music video for Seeing Red along with Just Incredible, which is very cool. If listeners and video listeners, I'll leave a link below and stuff for you to check it out, and definitely pick up Crossing Rubicon's latest album, Seeing Red. It's absolutely amazing. But for their music video, Seeing Red, former ECW hardcore champion Just Incredible was the star of the video, alongside with Crossing Rubicon, and Ryan Bear was in the match against him throughout the video, which is very cool. And our good friend Kevin James Freer directed the thing, so that came out amazing. So
yeah, I'm very, very proud of that. I mean, and when I say I'm proud of it, it's not like, hey, look at this great thing I did. There was a community of people involved in that project, and it was a lot of work. We started planning that video a year before that video came to fruition. There was so much work that got involved in it, you know, working with the right people, working with the right crowds, and everybody stepped it up. I mean, Incredible showed up to that video shoot looking better than ever. Ryan showed up to that shoot, you know, at the peak of his, you know, young career of wrestling. We had the best wrestling promotion to be working with because they had really passionate, hardcore fans that were into it. And I developed a great relationship with lots of them. The promoters were so awesome to us the entire time. And it was literally a lot of people. And also, side note, spoiler, or if you want to say Easter egg, both mine and my wife's parents are in that video somewhere, which is kind of like a nice little, because I kind of was raised like, in like a wrestling style family. So it was kind of nice, yeah, it was the best thing I've ever been a part of.
I gotta say, like, I absolutely love your parents, and I love Jeannie's parents. They're both, the nicest, most supportive people I've ever met in my life. Like it was very hard to get my parents to come out and see me perform live because my mother is legally blind. She could still see up to a certain point, but she gets very anxious and like her anxiety goes to the roof when she's in places she's not familiar with. And my father never comes out. For stuff like that either. It's just not his scene. But they did one time for my charity show that I did. They both came out for that, which
I remember that.
which meant a lot to me. But that was like, it took them both out of their comfort zone a lot to come out to something like that. So, but to see your parents and Jeannie's parents come to like most of your shows, like it's just like, man, like that's awesome. Like that's really cool to like, it's very heartwarming to see that stuff, like like, oh hey, that's my son up there, like he's kicking ass right now, or hey, that's my daughter on bass over there, she's totally awesome. I'll never forget the first time I met Jeannie's dad. He had me laughing so hard. I'm not gonna discuss what he said, but like it was, it's just he is the funniest guy I've ever met, and
he really
like
is.
He's shout out to you, Mr. Sagan. You're absolutely hilarious, and I love our friendship. Every time we come and hang out at like picnics or shows and stuff like that, you always have me in
He's
stitches
great.
every time.
Him and my dad are like the same person.
Yeah,
my dad's a little more stoic, but very identical sense of humor, similar interests. So it's crazy. My parents bought tickets to a festival we were playing in Chicago, and they bought plane tickets for it. That's and crazy. Then the show got canceled. So, but I think they got their money back. But man, that's dedication.
That is dedication right there, man. You're very lucky, man. Like, I love my parents to death, but I mean, like, that's awesome. I wish I can. I got a little taste of that myself, like I said earlier. But I mean, like, I wish I could have that too. Like, But so you're talking about wrestling and everything. We never really talked about how Rubicon started. It was about the time that I know you said you were already into music, but you were doing wrestling. Like, did Rubicon start around the same time, or was Rubicon already started while you were still wrestling?
No. When I was wrestling, I had put music on hold for a while.
Okay.
I put performing on hold. I kind of always felt that I wasn't really, I don't know. I just never, I tried to go to art school. It didn't work out.
I didn't know you were going to art school.
Well, music art school.
Oh.
I was going to, yeah. So yeah, I can't draw for shit. I was going to get I was auditioning, but here's the thing. There's no rock guitar in music school. So I literally was like, well, I applied to a school, and I had like 3 months to learn how to not only be a good jazz guitarist, but be enough to like get accepted.
Yeah.
Which I didn't. I really didn't. I love playing jazz now more than I did then. I was forcing myself to play a style of music that I wasn't into then. And then since then, I like joined a jazz band for a little while and played jazz guitar for a while. But like that audition kind of killed me, because the guy pretty much told me the only way you'll make a living with a guitar is to go in the woods and beat a defenseless animal over the head with it and eat it. So my guitar skills were shit. So I kind of like bowed out of music eventually, and I kind of like went into wrestling. And then years later, I joined a cover band, and this is 2000. I'm going to say like 2003 or 2004. I joined a cover band, and it was called Branded Soul. I met Brandy and Jeff in that band, and we were playing. And I always thought that you join a cover band to write originals and eventually try to play and shop your originals.
That's full rock star mentality, the movie. Like,
yeah, I always thought that that's what you do, and apparently that wasn't the same shared mentality. And eventually, when my cover band that played mostly like hard rock and heavy metal songs started to play like pop songs, I kind of was like, I'm not feeling this anymore, and I left. And then about 2 years later, 9, 8, 7, about 2 years later, I had kind of hit rock bottom with some stuff in my work, my career, and some shit really went bad. I was drinking really, really heavily. I had my doctor was telling me that I needed to stop drinking, or it wasn't going well. He was doing tests on my liver and stuff at the time. I had my therapist was telling me that I was not getting better and I needed to start making positive. And I called this guy who I sang. He was a guitar player in a band that I liked, and we met twice. And I was like, "Want to kind of do some writing together?" And we did. We started writing, and then it came time to get a bass guitar and a drummer. I knew what I wanted. I wanted Brandy and Jeff, and Zach was I brought Zach in to play my guitar part. So when I first brought Zach in, Pete was my original guitar player. Pete was like, "Dude, why are you bringing another guitar? We don't need 3 guitar players." I'm like, "I'm not playing guitar." "Why not?" I'm like, "Because I hate bands where the singer plays guitar. It's the most lame thing to watch. I want to be in people's faces. I want to put my performance thing on." So I hired Zach, and it was like, because he said something about, he was like, "Oh, this band is great because you get to completely control everything." I'm like, "You're hired." And I brought Zach in at one point in time, like I was going to write all the songs. And then Pete was like, "I got some song ideas you want to listen to." I'm like, "Okay, I respect you. I'll listen to your song ideas." I was kind of an asshole. I was kind of like, my mindset was, this is my band. I'm going to record my 10, 12 songs on a record and then drink myself to oblivion. That was my game plan. We didn't have a name. We were writing stuff that I was really digging. I was actually like passionate about writing. And then Pete was like, "Hey, listen." I'm like, "Okay, Pete stuff is cool." I started working with Pete stuff and writing songs with Pete stuff. And then Zach shows up, and I wrote a song. And I was like, "That's cute, kid. Like, you keep your song." And then he played it, and it was fucking badass. And I'm like, shit. So then, again, when I started the band, I was an asshole. But when you're in that mindset, there's no other way to be. And then when Zach submitted a song to me, I'm kind of like, yeah, this is really good. Like, he played the riff the first time. I had the chorus written my first time listening to it. And it was like, it was so good. It was cut deep.
I love that song.
Yeah, it was so good. And so I was like, okay, Zach can write. And then Jeff, we kind of gone through some members through the years, but it turned out to be, Crossing Rubicon is like this communist band. Anybody can write. We're like the Borg. You could do it as long as it's all picked up by the collective. It was like, that was how we did it. That's what Rubicon became, which has been kind of cool because it's music written by multiple perspectives of music. So it's different, and it's very different styles and very all kind of coming together and still sounding like Crossing Rubicon. So that was kind of like what I kind of like wanted to eschew any kind of like, because at that point in time, we're talking like 2009, hard rock and heavy metal music has become so cookie cutter, and so like it's not written to be good anymore. It's written for a demographic.
Yeah.
And I was going to shows at the time, like the Webster and stuff like that. And all these bands I'm watching, it's like, you could not, and I sound like an old person talking about the Beatles, but you could not close your eyes. If you didn't know any of these band songs, you could not close your eyes and listen to 4 different bands play and differentiate between what the band sounded like.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to bring back, instead of metal, I wanted to be heavy metal. Like that, it could be thrash, it could be progressive, it could be, whatever, but it's got to just be good. And Crossing Rubicon as a name was basically from my love of Shakespeare. And I had a lot of Shakespeare and Samuel Taylor Coleridge and Percy Bysshe Shelley lyrics influenced my lyrics. Some of these, these classic Renaissance writers.
Yeah.
And they did a lot of, so I wanted to name the band something that would last forever and something that was significant. I didn't want to just call it Electrical Chocolate Milk or something. And I middle of the night, I woke up and I'm like, Crossing Rubicon from Julius Caesar, Shakespeare. Crossing Rubicon means to pass the point of no return. It's the die had been cast. Where like you can never. You're gonna let it. It's like letting the genie out of the bottle. It's never coming back. Pandora's box, and that's kind of what the writing was all about. So that's kind of where the name came from. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I couldn't sleep. I was so excited. And that was the day before practice. I didn't tell anybody via text. I showed up, guys, what do you think of this? Crossing Rubicon. And Brandy looks at me. She goes, "You're going to name the band after your fucking Jeep?" And I'm like, no. I didn't even put two and two together. But yeah, so that's kind of the origin of Rubicon.
There's so many times that I've walked by a Rubicon Jeep and it just felt like taking a photo of myself just like walking past it with Rubicon behind it. Just like total Beatles style or something, and just send it to you.
Yeah. I think like another thing too, like I think like from a songwriting perspective, I was in such a dark place at that point in time in my life that I was writing about personal experiences, and my personal experiences weren't very good ones. It wasn't necessarily optimistic. It did not paint a very good picture of me. And I think that that's finally where my songwriting kind of got good, because people don't want to hear talk about people how great they are, or even how strong or perseverant they are. Sometimes you got to be like, you know what? I'm a douchebag just like this guy.
I mean, like I totally relate, because like I found my best writing came out of my pain, and like I just wanted to connect with other people that were going through the same thing. Whether I talked about this on my episode with Cody, but I mean, like, not saying anything badly about Pete or anything, but like when he would write lyrics, it would be about partying and like the 80s like rock and roll lifestyle, and I'm like, this isn't me. Like, I don't feel comfortable singing this like at all. I'm willing to compromise, you know what I mean, like maybe help write a little bit here and there for this song, and if you have any ideas for something that I wrote or something like that, but like his writing style and mine were like completely different. So like I'm trying to think of one of those, like Take a Ride or something. That was all Pete, and I was just like, oh, I hate this song. I hate this song so much, because it's just about driving down the open road, like cranking up the tunes, this, that, and the other, and I'm like, this is so Van Halen, like, like, I don't know, like I didn't feel comfortable singing it, but I mean, like, hey, I had to compromise, whatever, but
I mean, I got some Rubicon songs I can't stand playing.
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
yeah,
for one reason or the other. I also have songs that I love and I cherish that nobody else likes, which I kind of get that. I get a kick out of that too, or maybe like I said, probably one of my top two favorite songs on Seeing Red is the one that critically was disliked by every critic that did a review of the record, except for one.
Are you talking about Seeing Red or on No Less Than Everything?
Seeing Red.
Okay.
There was one song that even like, it was so funny because my band members, I'll say it's Active Aggression, which
we were talking about that on the Josh episode.
Oh, what did he say?
Oh no, because we were talking about how when you called me down to the studio, I was getting out of the shower and I was butt ass naked, and you're like, "Hey, I need backup vocals like right now. Get down to Dexter's lab." I'm like, "Dude, I'm naked and getting out of the shower." Well, throw some fucking clothes on, get your ass in your car, and get the fuck down here. I need you right now. and then we were talking about Josh being on the album too. So yeah,
yeah, it was definitely, this album is like a collection of friends. You know, which is cool. We were gonna get a grip on there, and it didn't make the cut, and I felt horrible about it. That's the only one, but it did come into the CD thing thanks to Kevin with his intro music playing. He opened the CD up. Sorry, but I digress because of way too much explanation needed for that. But yeah, we were writing this song, and I'm not a nu metal fan as a whole. I like some nu metal stuff better than I like most metalcore stuff. But I definitely like old school hip hop. I'm a huge Public Enemy fan.
Yeah.
I'm an NWA fan.
Yeah.
Early Biggie stuff. I like.
Same here.
Early stuff. But I liked hip hop, and back in 1991, I could rhyme with the best of them. 2017 or 18, whenever we wrote that song, not so much. So I kind of had a part that at the time I was proud of, and then I would listen to it back, and I'm like, oh, that's bad. And my band is kind of like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, it's a part of style of music that was part of my life that I was never able to reference in any way, shape, or form. And I want to do it. I want to do it justice. And I figure out the best way to do it justice was to not have me do it. So Josh was my guy, and I love everything that I even texted him when we were writing the song. I'm like, I'm writing a song that's heavily influenced by Fear the Masses, by the way. Oh, thanks, man. And go, no, I'm ripping the fuck out of you guys off. And so having him down and doing that part was like, it was like perfect. And it was funny because my father, who never liked hip hop music at all, he came back. He's like, I didn't like that song when I first heard it, but it's growing on me. It might be my favorite song on the record. And then I'm like, okay, that's a good review. That was like the only positive review ever. And I'm getting all these, and I kind of appreciated that because it's kind of like, well, it's not, the whole album's not supposed to be loved by everybody.
Yeah.
And it's a style thing. You got a guy that's writing for some metal magazine. Oh, wait, there was one reviewer that liked it. One reviewer that loved that song. He actually said it was his second favorite song on the record. But, like, you're listening to these guys that are reviewing, like, all these heavy metal songs over and over. That's what they do. And then you throw a hook at them like that. And it's like, whoa, this isn't in my wheelhouse. So I kind of get it, But
I mean, like you're saying, like it's a whole style thing, and like whether or not you like it, I mean, that's everyone's opinion. I love your style of music. I mean, it's very different. It's like whenever my friends ask like, oh, what's Crossing Rubicon, I'm like, think of heavy metal meets Queen. You know what I mean? Like that's how I think of it as. But I mean, I absolutely love it. But I mean, you're talking about like reviewers. How do you deal with like the criticism sometimes? I mean, does it weigh you down? Does it bother you a lot when you get a lot of negativity, or is any kind of bad review like good publicity or whatever?
I will say I think the only time I really got a bad review was Metal Sucks. One of my favorite reviews was actually, all right, I'm going to go back and say, in comparison, between the two records, No Less Than Everything was a combination of best songs we possibly had to put together, and I was very proud of it because it was the first one. I think Seeing Red was more of what I wanted to do. And I think looking back in context, there were songs like Unhinged is probably a song if I heard I don't know if I would like that if I heard it from somebody else. Like I don't know. I can't. I'm too much into it to be able to say that. And when people some people really didn't like that song, but then I look at the stuff that they like, and I'm like, well, I don't want to be that either. So, and I look at the first record, and maybe it was a little more commercial sounding than I wanted it to. But the funny thing is, everyone always says, like, when you release a single, oh, this is just too fucking commercial for me. It's like, it's a single.
Yeah.
It's supposed to appeal to the masses. Is it my best song on the record? Fuck no. Absolutely not. I probably would say that it's one of my least favorite songs on the record. I think
just off that album alone, like I said, Cut Deep was honestly one of my favorite ones, just because like Bittersweet Days, I've heard you guys play that 1,000 times. It doesn't mean that I don't like it. I absolutely love that song, but Cut Deep was just like it had that like Alice in Chains, like grunge feel to it. And I was like, yeah, this is my jam right here. Like
Bittersweet Day was a very, very important song for me.
Yes.
And I think I never had more attention for one song than that one. I would get so many like fan emails about that song and what it meant to them. So I kind of, that I appreciated. So I looked at like some of the negative criticisms. I think, man, Metal Sucks toward me an asshole. But
then you flipped it though, because like every time you played that song, you're like, I don't give a fuck. Like, they're going to say what they want to say. And that was the best publicity we ever fucking got, because like, hey, look at us. We're doing our thing. And like, who the fuck cares what you think? Like,
yeah, I think
my worst Scott impression right here.
I think the only thing that bothers me about negativity is like, if I hear a song I don't like, I just don't say anything. And people assume so much out of somebody because of a song. It's just a fucking song. It can be taken any way you want it. If you don't like it, don't listen to it again.
The only thing I hate about that song is it got stuck in my head for the longest time. Oh, lost him.
Oh, yeah. Hold on 1 second. It's actually my father-in-law. I'm back. I had to give him a. Sorry,
speaking of Mr. Sagan.
Hi, Dad. I'm sorry. I'm in the middle of an interview. Yeah. So it does get stuck in your head. You know,
Yes.
that's a positive thing. That's what I wanted to do.
It's a bad thing. It was just like I'd be driving in my car, and be like, "I become unhinged." I'm like, "God damn it, Scott!" Like,
no, I think and I thought "Seeing Red" as a song was not where I wanted to go for a first single either. But at the same time, it's probably one of my lyric wise, it felt good. Lyric wise, that song was about people that shit on us and people that it's kind of like, well, here I am. Round 2, where are you? And that's kind of what the song was about. And I felt that even though it was still not my type of my cup of tea, what I wanted to release. I think on Wax Wings is probably a little bit more up to what I wanted. It's not even I have songs that I wanted to do. Army of One, We Own the Night. Stuff like that was definitely more my style that I would love to release. But then I release something like that, and then people would be like, "So," which again, this is not a knock. People would be like, "What are you guys trying to be like an American version of Blind Guardian?" And I'm like, "Yes." It's just that's exactly what I want to be. But hey, that's the best. That's I guess the thing when you bring in so much diversity in writing and so many people with different opinions. You're gonna find a longer scale of what you're gonna like and what you're not gonna like in your own material.
Yeah.
And it's not that I hate the songs. Unhinged mostly because I'm sick of it.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Trust me.
It's been stuck in your head for how long? It's been in my head a lot longer.
Yeah, some of the old and the red stuff that has been around since even before I joined the band and was still around after I left the band. I'm like, you guys are still playing that song. I get it, man. But no, I definitely love the new album. I love the old stuff too, don't get me wrong. People should definitely check it out. No Less Than Everything, Seeing Red, all available wherever you get your music from. But I know we're getting a little bit over the hour mark right now, but I definitely want to talk about before we leave. You're talking about how you met Jeanne at the Buck Cherry show and she asked you out and everything. I remember you talking about your first date. You brought over what was it, a Batman comic book or something like that?
Yeah.
And you guys were talking about Batman or something, and Red Hood. You guys were talking about Red Hood, and that's how you guys connected. And how long have you guys been together now? You've been married a few years now.
Well, but we knew each other longer than that. It wasn't the first time we met.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yep, no problem.
I'm coming down with the corona. No, we had known each other for a couple years at that point. I'm gonna say probably 5 years. But we would always we would talk briefly. We would be in groups of people, and I said there was never one time her and I were friends at that point, and we were playing with Saving Abel, which was not one of my favorite shows, and I will never play with them again. Aving Sable, but we played a show with them. It was a Webster show, so we were the Webster band, and we just got off stage, and my band was talking to Jeanne in the back. And I walked over, I'm like, "Hey, what's going on? Hey, how you doing, Jeanne? What's going on?" And she's like, did you just play?" And I just walked off stage. I'm dripping with sweat. My eyeliner is running all over my face. I'm like, "Yeah. Okay, well, I got to go." And then she walked away. I was like, I don't think she really, wow, I guess we're not the friends that I thought we were. And then that night we played, and like I said, that Buck Cherry show was kind of a big show for us. I played like I wasn't going to be alive tomorrow that night. And I dedicated that show to Joey. It was probably the most real show we ever played. And it was awkward because every ticket that I sold was probably somebody I hooked up with over the last month and a half. and I think I sold like 40 tickets. So it was like, and then I didn't think anything through that there was like a lot of girls in that crowd that yeah. And it was powerful. Everybody was singing along to every word. You know, people reaching up on stage and grabbing you and touching you and stuff. And it was just it was almost like a religious experience on stage.
Mm.
And I looked over to Jeff at one point in time and he was like, I can't believe I'm leaving this. I'm like, I know, right?
Mm.
And it was the only time I stepped out of that surreal experience on stage was when I went to talk and introduce Bittersweet Day about my sobriety and I had been drinking. And I kind of felt for a moment, I felt cheap. And then we continued, we played the rest of the show. And man, our merch table, I was just signing one autograph after another. I was, you know, people were coming up buying CDs, t-shirts. I said one other show I ever got hoarded that much. And Jeanne was like, oh my God, you guys are amazing.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, thanks. Oh, wait, you watched this time? Because last time you completely like no-sold me, pretend like I wasn't even there. Oh no, it was amazing. So we started. So I had people coming up to me asking me questions about influences and all this other shit. And she started asking these questions too. And in the back of my head, I just kept thinking, like, I thought she hated my guts. And I had this girl throw herself at me and told me that she was going to see us play in Chicago. And I would say, like, asking me a question if I would go back to stay in her hotel room. And I'm like, I'll only stay in your hotel room if you hook up with Zach right now. And she like starts attacking Zach. And I'm like, bye, Zach. Just fucking around. I'll never forget because Ian Jones was like, what is it with you tonight? And he's like, you got girls hanging all over you. I'm like, wait, ask me a question in a minute. And we went back into the main room while Chuck Berry was playing. And I was like, what were you asking me, Ian? He was like, dude, why you got girls hanging all over you tonight? This is crazy. And then Jeanne was like, because he's hot. And I was like, I fucking knew it. I was like, she was macking on me. Damn it. So we talked a moment, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to fuck anything right now. I just want to go and watch cartoons. Like, what kind of cartoons? You're like, oh, I've been loving Red Hood lately. And that's how it all, you know, from that moment on, we exchanged phone numbers. We went on our first date 5 days later, and it's been ever since, you know?
Yeah.
And a comic book is definitely like a first date gift because flowers is just too much on a first date.
It's tacky.
Well,
welcome
to our first date here in Guns N' Roses.
Well, you guys are definitely my favorite couple. You guys have
Thank you.
The fun, the one of the best relationships, you know, out there. You guys have fun together. You guys, you know, joke around and everything. You're still kids at heart, but you definitely, you know, the love for each other definitely shows a lot. And, you know, I respect the hell out of both of you guys. I think,
thanks, man.
Yeah, anytime, man. Like you guys are my best friends and I love you guys. So I think that's going to be about it. Is there anything you want to plug before the end of the show or, you know, any future plans for Rubicon?
Yes. Stay at home. Wear masks and wash your hands. That's pretty much all I got to plug. I don't know. We're going to do, I'm writing some new material. Actually, I haven't written in forever, so it feels really good. I had a friend of mine that died 2 weeks ago.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And he was Jimmy Webb over at Trash and Vaudeville. One of my favorite people. I literally, like, he was inspiration for me leaving my career and pursuing music. He was kind of a New York City and a classic punk icon. And he was the guy that gave Crossing Rubicon our look. And I've never been one of those people like, oh, I'm gonna write a song about somebody. It's like it's gotta be something good. And Jimmy was a fixture in the Lower East Side Manhattan. I mean, you can't talk CBGBs without bringing his name up. You can't talk Iggy Pop and the Stooges without bringing his name up. And I kind of wanted to write a song for him that maybe he would appreciate. So I'm trying to write in like not something that, oh, you wrote a song about me. I'm trying to write a song romanticizing Lower East Side Manhattan, which to me is like the greatest place in the world that music ever came out of. The Misfits, Television, Sex Pistols, Talking Heads. That was the punk hub of the world. It was almost like, oh, people talk about LA in the 80s. I'm like, yeah, that's poser rock. We're talking about the real rock. And he was a fixture of that. And I'm writing a song in the style of Iggy and the Stooges about the Lower East Side from Jimmy's perspective.
Very
and I
cool.
think that would tell his story. There's lots of people that Jimmy was a big inspiration. I met Slash because of Jimmy. You know, he was a salt of the earth type person. He said I would never dress you. I find what's in your soul and I bring it out. You know, his statement was, I would rather be a small fish in a big pond than a big fish in a small pond. Because if you're a small fish in a big pond, you still get to take in and watch everything in the world around you like a spectator. And he was that person. Like, he would treat Iggy Pop and he would treat AJ the same. Like, he didn't fawn over celebrity. He was just a really great person. And I would go back to New York on occasion, run and go hang out with him. When Jeanne and I first started dating, I was like, you need to go to New York and you need to meet Jimmy and he needs to dress you. And she did, and she had the experience. Our band went to his shop, and one day we spent like $10,000 just on clothes. Brandy did most of it. But, dude, he was in the dressing room with Brandy. And Brandy, I'm pretty sure he stuck his hand down Brandy's pants to see if the pants were tight enough. And where you think Brandy would kill anybody for doing that, Jimmy was such a decent person that you knew there was nothing weird about it.
Yeah.
And Brandy was actually laughing her ass off when he did it. So to give you an idea of how real this person was. So I'm writing a song about him right now. And I'm also writing a song kind of comparing the coronavirus situation to the movie They Live with Roddy Piper. And basically talking about how, like, capitalism is raising us to be slaves to keep the rich wealthy and keep that working class going, and they're pretty much sending people out to die to do it, and kind of that mentality. So that's the two songs I'm writing. I
can't wait to hear them.
Yeah, I'm going more punk with everything, punk and thrashy myself. My band's probably going to reject everything and say this is shit. They do that. And then I'm doing a music video treatment right now because I want to kick off. If Crossing Rubicon 10 happens for Crossing Rubicon 11, maybe I'll do like 10.5 or 10.1 or whatever. I don't know. But I want to kick it off with another music video and a single. It's been a video I've been working on off and on for a while. It was kind of like, I know it's going to be a big budget video. I put a lot of work. I've tried to get my videos to be like something special. I had the director, I wanted to do, you know, like I feel like the one way I could really, you know, what's in your head when you're writing a song, videos are important to me. I'm an MTV kid all day long. So the next video is going to be probably the biggest production I've ever done on a Rubicon video. Special effects people or woman, costume people, makeup people. I have a director who specializes in doing vintage style horror movies, like modern day filming of video to make them look like vintage movies. And all this I'm putting together, and I mean, we're talking maybe like not talking extras, I'm talking about a cast of like 75 people.
I think you did tell me about this at one point.
Yeah. Basically, we're gonna do Thriller if Thriller was NC-17.
Nice.
Like, I'm writing the treatment, and there is a part of
Keep
I
going.
lost you. Oh, sorry, back. There's a part of the shoot. There's like, I mean, we're talking like blood, guts, violence, necrophilia, morbid. It's gonna be brutal. It's gonna be uncomfortable to watch. So it's gonna be
my kind of style.
Yeah.
Did
you ever see the movie?
Go ahead.
The Platform?
No.
Like, do what? All right. Yeah, don't watch it at all. Just don't.
All right.
If The Platform was a music video. No, that's kind of what I'm going with. I'm going to come out once we're ready to start planning things. I'm going to drop a video.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do that video to kick off, you know, Crossing Rubicon 10 and maybe a tour. We did 30 states on the last record. I kind of want to get at least that many on this one. But, you know, if I do 2 weeks we're not going to do the 30 states, but we're going to probably do like maybe we could do like 8 to 10, 12. You know, a lot of the heavy hitters, places that really miss us, and then go back to and start writing the next record. That's kind of what our plans are. But it's all waiting until we can get back to life as normal again. You know.
I meant to ask you, what was your most memorable show? Was it Motley Crue when you opened for them, or anything else come to mind?
I would have a couple of favorites. I would say Motley Crue. I mean, playing in front of 10,000 people at the Mohegan Sun Arena and screaming backstage into a microphone, "Scream for me!" What was it? "Scream for me, Mohegan Sun," and having 10,000 people scream. Running. I remember seeing Return to Atlantis, and on the chorus, I was stage left, and as I started singing the chorus, I ran to stage right. And I remember thinking, because that's such a song I have to belt, I'm like, that was a mistake. I got it. But Motley Crue is definitely up on the list. I would say I've had many memorable shows at Cherry Street that I would put on that. I mean, I can almost compare to. Man, it's so long. Queensryche, playing with Queensryche was awesome. You play in the Webster Theater, and you sell these tickets, and you're basically like, you know, you're being trained to be a slave. And you just want somebody to be like, you did good. And some of the guys in Queensryche really had our back after that night. So
Very
that
cool.
was a cool thing. Playing with Michael Graves, the 2 times we did it, like playing with him at Electric was awesome. Michael Graves' Misfits is a big influence to me. So very, very special night whenever we play with him. So yeah, a couple of shows have always been really, I mean, that Buck Cherry show. I mean, my whole life, it was that was like the point where everything kind of changed for one way or the other. And the crowd was so good there. Like, you can only put your microphone out and having 150 people sing along to your song that know all your lyrics. And that's always cool. You know, so there's a bunch of them.
I think the most funniest thing that ever happened was when I dropped your microphone and you had to buy a brand new one.
Oh, that was you.
I felt so
we're done with this podcast.
fucking bad after that. No, but you got this really nice microphone after that. So
it was on its way out anyway.
Yeah. I felt like a fucking asshole. That's something for all you vocalists out there.
Fine.
If your friend lets you borrow his Shure or his wireless mic, hold on to it. Unlike me, who had hand surgery, I could barely hold anything. Fucking slammed it by accident.
Well, I also had a Telefunken capsule on that thing.
What's that?
Which I had a Telefunken capsule on that thing too.
Make it worse. Thanks.
But yeah, I'm gonna make it worse. I mean, I was okay with them. I was able to get free stuff from them back then.
All right, so I think that's gonna do it, man. So yeah, definitely check out Seeing Red from Crossing Rubicon, which is their latest album out right now. But definitely check out No Less Than Everything. And is the EP that you guys had out before that, is that available on digital too?
I think the EP's on Spotify.
Okay.
I think.
All right.
You know?
And then definitely check out their music videos all over YouTube. Crossing Rubicon Band, or I think that's the link for it, or just Crossing Rubicon. Definitely check them out. Follow them on social media. All that great stuff.
If you go to YouTube and watch our video, talk about how much of a shitbag the singer is. That's what everybody else does.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Fuck with the haters thing. You know what I mean? I don't give a fuck. You know, like you're doing you, man.
Oh, it's this day and age. It's entertaining, man. It's like, all right, we got another one. Come on. Yeah.
As for everybody else, I want to thank you guys for tuning in and checking out this episode of the podcast. Definitely make sure to subscribe. We are available on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Make sure to follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Roads We Traveled Podcast, and on YouTube, which you're probably watching this video from right now. Hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell icon to get notified every time we go live with the video. I'm definitely throwing this in the final cut because I got to crop back and forth. You can also check me out at twitch.tv/JRBuckleGaming, where I do some gaming, I do some artwork with friends, and chat with me live during that. And check out my portfolio at www.alanmpelletierjr.com. I want to thank my guest, my longtime best friend, Mr. Scotty Anarchy, for dropping by and having some time with us today. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
And I can't wait till this is all over, man. I miss you and Jeannie a lot, and I miss our nights together and
I do
playing
too.
video games. So, Baby Yoda.
We're gonna be getting. I think we're gonna be getting the one arcade up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game.
Ooh.
So we're gonna put that in the kitchen, so we can cook dinner for people and drink drinks and play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on a 4-way.
That sounds
How
amazing.
cool is that?
I think that sounds fucking awesome.
Right?
All right, brother.
All right, brother.